A very good morning, Desiree. Not a very good one in Alice, as businesses have not opened following the heavy rains yesterday. Just behind me, as you can see, these businesses here have not opened. In fact, they are trying to clean up what was from yesterday, where cars and a lot of stuff was swimming in a pool of water. And in fact, even inside these businesses, Desiree, they are still trying to sweep out the water that was left behind from the heavy rains. A number of people affected, people having their houses damaged, and the businesses suffering the loss as they've now lost a day of making any money as they have to deal with cleaning out the water. But Desiree, I'm joined by Nongceba Madikizela Vuso, who's the spokesperson for the Amathole District, to tell us more about their plans to help this Alice town. Sisi, thank you so much for your time. Let's talk about what your team that you dispatched yesterday has been able to find up until now.
What I can confirm is that there are about 29 households that have been damaged because of the heavy rain. Walls of houses have fallen down and the roof is completely destroyed. Now those 29 families, the members are currently with their relatives, so there hasn't been a need for the local municipality to kind of find a temporary shelter for them in a form of a hall as they usually do. So right now they are with the families, and we can also indicate that the team, when it was on site, there was an indication by the community that one old lady, the house fell down on her and she is now hospitalized. And there is a young child who was struck by lightning yesterday as well, and that child has since been hospitalized. We don't have an update of how they are doing because it's in the morning and we have only just arrived here to check on the team on how, if there is any other more information that I have since received. But the local municipality was actually starting to assist the town to try and clear out the roads because trees fell on the road, and as you can see there's mud everywhere, so they are also trying to assist in that regard. Today at midday we are going to meet with the other sector departments to try and determine immediate relief that is needed for those families. You know that the Department of Social Development and SASA usually assist with blankets and some food parcels. So we are going to be meeting with them to check what it is that they can actually be able to do for these families.
And yesterday, this is nothing, of course, compared to what we saw yesterday, where cars could not move because they were in a pool of water. Perhaps it would also speak to town planning and the issue of drainage systems in these small towns.
I think it definitely does reflect that when there is that kind of a flooding, our systems cannot actually carry that. But the local municipality will probably elaborate more on how their town planning is in terms of the drainage system. But as you say, the town was literally on standstill yesterday. There's nothing that could actually happen. The cars were almost drowning, in fact. So the water couldn't move at that particular time.
And I know now we're talking about 29 families that this to them is a bad thing that happened to them yesterday, businesses having closed down. But when you look on the other side, Amathole District being the most affected by drought, surely these are good news for you.
Well, we can't necessarily say that because the dam that feeds this town, which has been filled, it's actually in Hawksbeck or on the way to Hawksbeck. So we doubt that there is that much of an inflow because the flooding was actually happening here in town, not outside Alice. But our engineering team will actually give a report in the afternoon to indicate if there has been any significant improvement in that dam in terms of water.
And lastly, Ms. Madikizela Vuso, the issue of the sand that is filling these dams whilst we're waiting for the rains. There's been complaints that the Drought dam, when there were heavy rains, it was not able to get that capacity because the sand there has not been taken out, and so is in other dams. Are you prepared for when the rain comes that you'll be able to fill those dams?
What we are currently doing in terms of our plans is to raise the wall of the dams instead of taking out the sand, because when we weigh the costing of actually taking out the sand into the dams, it's actually more. You would rather you raise the wall of the dam so that you raise the capacity of the dam. We do have those plans, but we are reliant on the municipal infrastructure grant to actually ensure that we implement those.
Ms. Madikizela Vuso, thank you so much for your time. Nonceba Madikizela Vuso, the spokesperson for the Amathole District Municipality. Desiree will be going from here to speak to the affected businesses and also those 29 families that have been affected, in particular those that have their family members hospitalized. It was a disaster that saw the town of Alice being on standstill as water was all over the place. Sadly, though, Desiree, much as this rains, one would hope that perhaps they would deal with the drought that is crippling the province. From what we've just got from the spokesperson for Amathole is that they did not reach the dams that need to be filled so as to actually deal with drought in the area. It is not yet clear if this disaster will come again or if the weather going forward will be better and that no more of these disaster heavy rains will get to the town. But it is a situation that we are monitoring and will be going to those houses and affected families. Desiree.
Busisiwe Jemsana-Mantashe, thank you so much for that update.